I'm Theron Ramacharaka. Somebody asked me, what about telepathy technique, astral projection, and entity encounters? I've had those, so I answered this. Telepathy, telementation is probably the better term, whatever you call it. It's been a long time since I practiced it intentionally, so I can't answer this as a currently practicing person or as one who has practiced it for years. I was better at transmitting than I was at receiving. To transmit, I would close my eyes and do the best I could to still my thoughts. To just quiet my mind from its major objects of focus. This would take maybe 3 to 5 minutes. Now, at the time, I was a teenager. Probably now, decades later, it would take longer than that because I have a lot more going on in my mind, than I did back then. I didn't have a lot of, I had plenty of stressors at home. I just didn't have as much cumulative stress built up through life, or so many widespread concerns. So I was probably better at it then than I would be now. Anyway, this just kind of quieting my mind, getting it quiet from its major objects of focus. This would take maybe 3 to 5 minutes. This was in order to meet the requirement to pointedly direct my attention to the task at hand. Simply that. And once free from major surface thought, I would as single-mindedly as possible direct my mental attention to the person whose mind I wanted to transmit to. Now, there are various things to say about this. I'll just try to clarify a bit of the how and not really address such matters as what's really going on with it. For one, this step is a matter of establishing a communication link. So you can think of all this in terms of a phone call. Let's say you're about to make an important call. Well, first you prepare your mind for the task. Hopefully. The parallel here with telementation, or as the person who asked me the question called it telepathy, the more popular term. Well, the parallel here is the quieting of your mind, which I just described. Well, then you dial the number and it rings with respect to the phone call side of the analogy. You dial the number and it rings. You can hear it ringing. A connection is being established. The parallel here is the second step to which I'm referring, the establishing of a communication link. This is a matter of thinking of the person strongly. And by strongly, I mean a couple of things. One is focus, which the initial preparation was for, or to help with, to get ready for, to focus. Focus as much as possible on only the person. That is, no other thoughts. Another has to do with a good bit of energy thrown into this. Or better yet, power of will thrown into it. While we might say that focus is control over the direction of your attention, the second part is the power of it. Third, this involves the content of your thought, which is toward that of the person. Where am I? What the heck? So one aspect of this is a mental picture. Mentally picture the person, if you know what the person looks like physically. And if you do, picture the person's face as clearly as you can. Also, mentally say the person's name repeatedly. Now, this mental picture, some of us, a lot of people actually, well, we always create mental pictures when we think or when we recall something. But to do it intentionally, sometimes that ability just seems to fly out the window. Like if somebody says, now create a mental picture of such and such, and then we have trouble grabbing onto that picture and seeing it clearly. It takes practice. There's More about that here on this channel. It's an extremely important thing in our lives. It's creative. Here it will help create that link. It's also, developing mental imagery to a high degree can work as a dual-edged sword. Be careful of what you create. Okay, back to the point at hand. Do these things, mentally say the person's name repeatedly also, and do these things with the intention to make a mental link, a mental communication link. Also picture in your mind either that person coming into your own mental sphere or your own mind reaching out to that person and entering his mental sphere or hers. Keep these things to the exclusion of intruding thoughts. Anytime any other thought tries to get in the way or to distract you, just easily zoom right back in on exactly what you're actually doing as I'm laying it out here. This is a matter of your mind making the call. Once the connection has been established, you should feel that it has been established. You should experience awareness that the channel is now open, that communication link is now open, that the call has been answered. So then stop the effort to establish the connection. But shift that same directed attention and the power behind it over to sending your message. Don't slack off on the directed attention aspect in itself or the power behind it. Don't slack off, just shift it, what it's doing over to sending your message. Beam your message mentally loudly and clearly into the person's mind. This is a matter of mentally talking straight through that link with the intention of planting your message right into the person's conscious awareness by way of their subconscious mind, of course. Focus on the words of your message and as clearly and colorfully as possible and any mental images associated with that message. You can do this slowly and with focus and intent. In fact, you should. You can also picture your message going into the person. Do this confidently, calmly and confidently. Might be a good idea to summon the mood of calm confidence, which you will have learned to build and implement in your practice of the calm attention technique, the CAT, which is elsewhere on this channel. Do this confidently. The parallel with the phone call analogy is that now you are talking on the phone, stating the reason for your call. Keep it up until you feel a reassurance that the message has got through and hit its mark. This confirmation will feel similar to the confirmation that you got earlier, that the connection had got established. This last thing here now is analogous, that the message got through and hit its mark. It's analogous to a person that you called on the phone indicating that he or she has heard what you've said, as in, oh, okay, I got it. Then you stop. It's done. Well, the person asked about my technique, that's it. I'm not going into anything about how it really works. Not right now, anyway. And I ask that you do not do this until we have covered some other relevant ground. I will upload my narration on William Walker Atkinson's clairvoyance and whatever it is, clairvoyance and occult powers or something like that. And also one or two other books that he has about mental vibration, where he talks about telementation, which is where I got that word telementation. I learned it from him. All right, that'll be other relevant ground. At least that. Oh, and intentional receiving? I was talking about transmitting. And that I was better at transmitting than receiving. In a mutually intentional telepathy scenario, that would be done the same as transmitting, except that once the connection is felt confirmed, the receiver, if it's an intentional receiver, just remains open to incoming thoughts and mental images. An added option for the receiver then is, when once received, he simply affirms to himself, "I got it," with the intention of the transmitter receiving that confirmation. That's the difference. Okay, now what about astral projection and entity encounters? Like I indicated, the person who asked me this question had numerous entity encounters and wants to know about astral projection and his entity encounters. My answer is this: intentional astral body projection along the physical plane. You see, the astral body can travel along the physical plane or into the astral subplanes. Either way, right? It's a popular thing to do. This astral body projection is a popular thing to do these days in accordance with New Ageism. Oh, it's popular. For various reasons, I desire and impress upon you to not do it. It can easily get into unethical things, such as playing physical plane peeping Tom. For example, looking into people's windows without an invitation to do so. But not with your physical body, not with your eyeballs right there. Your physical ones. Your astral ones. Sneaky, sneaky! Well, the ethical issues surrounding such physical body activities are warranted enough. The issues surrounding it as an astral body activity are even more so. And doing such things will get in the way of your actual personal growth in the matters that are the main thrust of this channel. Also, almost none of us have any business prying into the astral plane in this way. In the first place. Also, visiting disembodied souls in this way can easily serve to distract them from their activities, especially if done by somebody who is just out to have a thrill, and especially also by somebody who is out to communicate with them. They're to be left alone to do what they are doing. Also, the experiences one has in this way involving the astral plane are almost always distorted perceptively. And then once the experience is over, even that distorted perception is rarely recalled accurately. Jeez. But usually the person so engaged has no awareness of either the initial distortion or the faultiness of the recall. Also, undesirable entity influences can easily come from the practice, often unknown to the person engaging in it. Sneaky there too, huh? Yeah. And lastly, no such practice has much at all to do with actual personal development along the lines that we're interested in here. The practice almost entirely is just a distraction. And not a very good one either. Better to learn more about such affairs by viewing, well, a YouTube video series here that I have yet to upload to this channel. My narration of Swami Panchadasi's The Astral World. You'll learn enough about it all like that. Now, I say here that I'm talking to the person who asked this. You've had plenty of entity encounters already. Why engage in a practice that might invite more of them? Huh? If you're somebody here, if you're somebody visiting this channel, now this is what I wrote here, but I'm talking to you now. Hey, I'm talking to you. It seems to me that you have a good reason for being on this planet right now. You probably do, right? At least if you're here. Now, right here. Entities sometimes work against a person's development in their good purpose for being here. And sometimes the ways we come up with to understand some kinds of conscious entity interference are not conducive to that development either. Now, yeah, it's good to be aware of this stuff. It's just vital so that we understand the environment in which we're trying to evolve. But astral projection, I'm saying, is not a good way to learn about this. So sometimes the ways we come up with to understand some kinds of conscious entity interference are not conducive to that development. I aim to help you see through the bullshit, see? And to cut it out. And to get more to the real deal, like establishment of true selfhood, the recognition, realization, and manifestation of it, which will work wonders in cutting out the entity interference. All right, man. That's it for this one. I'm Theron Ramacharaka. Be well.